Hi students, this is Teacher Josh and we are doing a Unit 2 review on the entire unit, and you guys are taking some tests over the different units. Today I want to do a video review of Lesson D, which was all about reading. If you guys remember on page 24, which is right down here, we read an article about strategies for learning English. And then we were given 3 strategies, and ultimately we were asked some questions about the text. And we had to use the text. We had to answer the questions with reasons and evidence given by the author in the text. We also talked a lot about how sometimes the author will use the phrase "for example" in the body paragraph to signify that they're about to give some reasons and evidence for what they just said. So this lesson is all about how to do that. So let's start by taking the example text that they gave us on 24, going back, reviewing it, and then looking at some of the questions and how they answered those questions. All right, here we go. All right, before we jump into the text again, I wanted to pause for a second, and I want to talk about reasons, evidence, and examples. An author presents information in a text. That's what an essay is. That's what a story is. They want you to believe them, okay? They want you to believe what they're saying. So, how do they do that? Well, 2 ways. The first way is they give you reasons for why they said what they said, or why they believe what they believe, to push you to believe what they're writing. Second, they give evidence. So they cite some evidence, some reasons for why they want you to believe what they're saying, to convince you of their opinion. Okay? And we learn that one of the ways that an author, a writer, signals that they're going to give you some reasons, some evidence, is the phrase, "for example." When you read a text, there's really 2 big questions you should be asking yourself. The first question is, what does the author want me to believe? Really, that's what it's all about. What is the author trying to convince me of? Second question is, what reasons or evidence are being used to make me believe this is true? If you can answer those 2 questions, then you're going to be well on your way to being able to look at a text, look at the reasons and evidence, and give a solid answer to a question about the text based on those reasons, that evidence, and what was the whole reason the author wrote it. So we keep these 2 questions in mind as we read. What does the author want me to believe? Second, what reasons or evidence are being used to make me believe this is true? Let's take a quick look at the text on page 24 as an example. All right, so here we are on page 24 and 25. And if you remember, what was the author trying to convince us of in this article. And one of the first things that they ask you to do is look at the title. Look at the title, look at the subtitles, and again, ask yourself, what is the author trying to convince me of? So when I look at this, strategies for learning English, boom, that's what it's about. The author is going to try and convince me that there are, in fact, strategies for learning English. And if you come down here, you'll see some subtitles. Now, every article doesn't have subtitles. When they do, you should look at those immediately. Strategy 1, set goals. Strategy 2, look for opportunities to practice English. Strategy 3, guess. So, again, by skimming and looking at the title, looking at the subtitles, and frankly, reading the introduction and the first sentence in each paragraph, those are a couple other tricks that will help you quickly understand what the author's trying to convince you of, okay? Now, you'll remember the other thing that we talked a little bit about is whenever you see a for example, you're about to get some evidence, some reasons, some specific facts to prove or convince you of a point that's being made, okay? Again, we look at the paragraph here and we find for example. Let me zoom in on this just for a second. All right. It says, there are many ways to do this. Let's back up a little. Maybe your goal is to learn more vocabulary. Okay, it's talking about setting goals. Maybe your goal is to learn more vocabulary. There are many ways to do this. For example, so now they're going to give you some specifics from the text, okay? You can read English for 15 minutes every day. You can also learn one new word every day. So this is a big signal that the author is going to give you some details to back up, some reasons, some evidence for what he just stated, okay? Generally, in any paragraph, this is pretty common. The author's going to, in the topic sentence, the first sentence, tell you what the whole sentence, the whole paragraph is about. And then he's going to use reasons, he's going to use examples, he's going to use evidence to try and convince you of this point. Okay? Each paragraph that you read should have one primary point to the paragraph. So let's go take a look at another story and then see if we can answer some questions. Let's see if we can look at the evidence, the reasons, and then answer some questions about the text that's based on those reasons, those examples, that evidence in the text. All right? Let's go do that. All right. Let's take a look at this text and see if we can use our new skills, okay, to answer some questions about this text. All right. First of all, let's read it. Did you know that a 16-year-old boy climbed the tallest mountain in the world? Temba Teshiri Sherpa made it to the top of Mount Everest in 2001. He's not the only amazing Sherpa from Nepal. He comes from a group of people who live in the mountains of Nepal. The Sherpas live in mountain villages as high as 14,000 feet. They hike everywhere and carry everything on their backs. Some even carry TVs and refrigerators. Many kids climb up to 1,500-foot slopes to go to school. Imagine hiking mountains that are 150 stories tall every day. Many Sherpa people also help tourists who want to climb Everest. They carry supplies and help guide the tourists. They have helped many climbers' dreams of being on top of the world come true. Notice a little footnote down here. Sherpa. See the one up here? It says Sherpa is both a last name and a name of a group of people. All right, so that's helpful to know. Let's take a look at the question, the first question they ask.
Which sentence from the passage shows why the Sherpa people are important?
Okay, which sentence from the passage shows why the Sherpa people are important? A, the Sherpas live in mountain villages as high as 14,000 feet. B, many kids climb up to 1,500-foot slopes to go to school. C, he comes from a group of people who live in the mountains of Nepal. D, they have helped many climbers' dreams of being on top of the world come true. So again, which sentence from the passage shows why the Sherpa people are important? The answer is D. They have helped many climbers dream of being on top of the world come true. Let's look at the explanation. The last paragraph
shows that the Sherpa people have helped many people climb Mount Everest. Many tourists cannot climb the mountain safely without the Sherpa people carrying their supplies or guiding them.
Good. So you'll notice in the last paragraph right here, which by the way, the conclusion is also a pretty important place to look for the main idea. It says right here, they have helped many climbers' dreams of being on top of the world come true. That's the big point of the article. Okay, these two sentences right here. So it's the only one that works really well to answer the question. Which sentence from the passage shows why the Sherpa people are important? It's really, they're not important because they live in the mountains at a high elevation. There's lots of people that live in the mountains at high elevation. They're not important because their kids climb these really tall slopes to go to school. That's not why they're important. This kid isn't important that they name because he lives in the mountains of Nepal. These are all true. These are all things that are in the story, but the point of the story is these people are important because, and he put it at the very end, the conclusion, because they help climbers climb the highest mountain in the world. That's amazing. That's amazing that even a 16-year-old kid could do that. That makes them important. And they help carry everything to the top. Let's look at one more question.
Why does the author include the following sentence in this passage? Imagine hiking mountains that are 150 stories tall every day.
Wow. Yeah. Imagine hiking mountains that are 150 stories tall every day. Let's look at the hint.
Read the passage again. What does this sentence help the reader understand?
Okay. So let's jump back up here and let's look for this right here. Okay, 150 stories every day. The Sherpas live in mountain villages. And by the way, I saw it right here real quick. I scanned the text. Okay. Did you know, let's just start at the beginning, but we know that the information, why do they share this? Why do they share this? Okay. Do you know that a 16-year-old boy climbed the tallest mountain in the world? Temba Shira Sherpa made it to the top of Mount Everest in 2001. He is not the only amazing Sherpa from Nepal. He comes from a group of people who live in the mountains of Nepal. The Sherpas live in mountain villages as high as 14,000 feet. Now, the author could have put, for example, they hike everywhere and carry everything on their backs. Some even carry TVs and refrigerators. Many kids climb up to 1,500-foot slopes to go to school. Imagine hiking mountains that are 150 stories tall every day. Man, that would make you strong, wouldn't it? That would prepare you to climb Mount Everest and help others do it. Let's take a look. Many Sherpa people also help tourists. Now they're going to give you the main point here. After giving you examples, evidence that these people are strong, they are ready to do this. Many Sherpa people also help tourists who want to climb Everest. They carry supplies and help guide the tourists. They have helped many climbers' dreams of being on top of the world come true. Now let's look. Why does the author include the following sentence in this passage? Imagine hiking mountains that are 150 stories tall every day. Look at A. To explain what Sherpa kids do daily is a difficult thing. Is that the main reason? Well, there's a lot of kids that do dangerous things. I'm not sure that's the reason. B. To describe how some mountains are not really tall. Is that the main reason? To prove that Sherpa kids really like going to school. Is the main point about these kids not liking school? To show that there are many schools near Mount Everest. Well, is that the main reason? If I had to guess, I'm going to say that the main reason is A. It's the strongest, in my opinion. Good. Let's look at the explanation.
The given sentence helps the reader imagine how high the Sherpa kids climb every day to go to school. If you think about it, what they do daily is not a small thing at all. A 150 stories building is very tall.
The sentence from the passage helps the reader imagine how high the Sherpa kids climb every day to go to school. If you think about it, what they do daily is not a small thing at all. A 150-story building is very tall. All right. Very good. All right, students, we're going to take a look at one more short writing. And we're not going to do everything. We're not going to read the whole thing or do everything. But again, I want you to use the strategies we talked about. First of all, I like this story because it has a title. So what do you think this is about? What do you think the author is going to try to convince us of? So read the title. Save money on utilities. That's the title. Of course, it disappeared here. Why is it doing that, Timmy? Save money on utilities. That's your title. So if I had to guess, I would say it's about saving money, and utilities means your electric, your water, this sort of thing, okay? couple of thoughts to think about before you start reading is think about the topic. They ask the question, how much do you pay for utilities? So if you pay your utilities, how much are you spending on your water each month? For us, it can be anywhere from 50 to 100 bucks. How much am I spending on electric? Anywhere, depending on how cold or hot it is, anywhere from $150 to $200. So I'm spending about $300 a month, give or take, more or less, on my utilities. Would you like to pay less? Well, that's a good question. I mean, we'd all like to pay less. So if you're asking me, just by looking at the title, Save Money on Utilities, I already know that this article is going to be about helping me save, maybe giving me some examples, evidence, reasons for saving money on utilities. And sure enough, if I come down here, look at cooling and heating. Cooling and heating. He's going to talk about different information on how I can save money on my cooling and heating in my house. So he also talks about electricity. So you've got these subpoints, cooling and heating. He's going to give me all kinds of good ideas, examples, things I can do to save money on my cooling and heating. And then he comes down here and he gives me more bullet points on electricity. He says, in conclusion, use these simple tips and you'll be doing great things. You will save money and save energy. It's good for your wallet and it's good for our earth. Okay, so that's just how you can quickly capture what something's about. All right, so hey, in conclusion, you guys need to, after watching this, you need to go to Google Classroom. Make sure you take your attendance. You only need to do it one time each day. And then, of course, hopefully you just finished watching this video. And then I want you to go and take the test. There will be a short story, and I will ask you questions about the text. So you will need to read it, scan it, use the strategies that we just taught you, and then answer the questions in the Google form. Okay? Don't forget to spend about 20 minutes in Mind Play and 10 to 15 minutes in Spelling City. We'll see you soon.